So the reason I came to UMass was mainly because of the money, the situation. It's a very cheap state school while also getting a very good education at the same time. And allows for an easy transition period going from high school to the workforce, the work world. And because of that transition period, I feel like UMass gives you the proper tools that allow you to enable yourself to succeed in the future while also still having a good time and enjoying your life in college.
I came to UMass because I think it's a great school, and at UMass I have the opportunity to combine soccer and school, and also the school has a lot of degrees, and so I'm happy with my major. And as I said, I can combine soccer and school. What's the most important for me?
So if I knew there was no chance of me getting a job straight out of college with the degree that I had, I would probably either do one of two things. I would probably go to a different university where then I could get a more maybe competitive degree that would allow me to then do what I want to do. But going with the nature of the question, if I was to then get any degree in the field that I want to do, which is finance, and not be able to get any job straight out of college, I'd probably then just look to go straight into the workforce, maybe get into a local bank in my local town back in Western Mass, and then try to work my way up through the corporation from that standpoint instead of trying to get the degree through college and then get into the workforce. So I just try to make as many connections as possible if I knew that the degree I wanted wasn't going to help me in the workforce whatsoever.
I would definitely change the school because I think like if you get a degree and you can't earn money with it, the degree is worthless. So I definitely would change the school and get a degree which gives me the opportunity to earn money with it. And I mean, that's basically why you go to college to have the chance to earn money with your degree and the thing you like.
So this is a pretty loaded question. In general, I tend to think of education as when I look at it as a whole as a societal norm from a young age, from preschool to college. Everyone thinks like, well, you have to go to school, you have to get an education because that's just what everyone does. That's just part of life. And the way society has made it is that like if you don't get an education, you're looked down on. You won't be successful in your life. You won't be able to do what you want to do. You won't be able to have fun in your life. So because of those connections that society has made to education, it's become such an integral part in growing up and becoming like an adult. So that like one of the three things I when I think of education, I tend to think of moving forward and progress. And I think education basically, from my personal point of view, the main purpose of it is to better yourself and to then keep improving on your knowledge. Not only knowledge is in book smarts, but knowledge is in life itself and how to interact with others, how to maybe interact with your surroundings as well as the people that you come in contact with in order to allow yourself to have a much more prosperous and better quality of life. And regarding the questions of if different schools are different, like going from elementary school to high school to college, I believe like in elementary school, you learn the basic tools of how to say the foreground of how you're going to be able to represent yourself in life. Like you learn basic manners, you learn basic skills as in addition, subtraction, multiplication, but also you learn how to make friends. You learn how to do all these things that then lead you up to high school where you then solidify these relationships. You move more into like maybe a romantic side of things, and also you test like what your body can do maybe in the sports front and just in your surroundings because once you get to high school it's more of a community, but then once you get to college that's when you really start testing your mental capability. It's testing you for lack of sleep. You're not going to be able to have as much of like the comfort you used to have when you were in your own home. So college is really putting you out of your comfort zone in order to better test you, in order to have like a better representation of what the real world is going to be like when you're actually on your own and you're an adult. So it's a very loaded question, but I just think school is basically preparing you for what lies ahead.
I think the main reason is how to learn like how life works, to develop yourself as a human being. And of course, there's a difference between like primary school, high school, and college. I think the higher you go, it's getting more deep and deep with the material and more into science or whatever subject it is. But yeah, I think at the beginning you basically learn how to interact with people and just how you act around other people.
So for me, I'm only a sophomore in college at the moment, so high school wasn't that long ago for me. And personally, I remember almost every detail about high school just because I loved it so much. I loved the friends that I had there. I loved the location in which I grew up, which is around here in Western Mass. I loved all the activities I was involved in. I loved playing soccer with my friends and just traveling all over like New England in order to just to play. So I had a very enjoyable 4 years of high school. However, just looking at it as a schooling point of view, I think basically the point of high school is to then give you the necessary higher academic skills that will then allow you to have a broader spectrum in how you view the educational world. And with that, you then learn more societal skills and how to interact with others on a professional level. And with that, that then allows you to become more professional yourself. And the point of high school, in my opinion, is very similar to what I just said. I think high school is just a way to like better surround yourself with a community that you are in. Because once you're in high school, you're then, in a way, the oldest kids in the society in which you grew up in. Because everyone older than you in the nearer years is off to college, so they're no longer in the town. So in a way, high school is like you're learning how to interact with society at the highest level without having to do the responsibilities of paying bills or figuring out a mortgage and that kind of stuff. Just learning how to like interact with society.
I went to high school in Germany, so it's a little bit different. But I think the main reason of high school is to get ready, like for college or for workforce, and just be prepared for the real life after school. And yeah, I had a good time at high school, but I think the real life is outside of high school, and I don't think they prepare you that well for that.
So when you ask me to think of a child that's living outside of the US, I would tend to think of the children that I worked with down in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Back in my junior year of high school, me and a couple of my friends back from my local town traveled down to Port-au-Prince, Haiti with a local charity called Hot Football. And basically what we did was we helped a local poor village that's located within the borders of Port-au-Prince build a local soccer field for all the young children to play at. And when we got there, this field was literally just rocks and clay. So what we did was we basically cleared the land and allowed it so that kids could play on it and not like puncture their feet when they're playing because no one there had shoes and only the families that had money allowed their kids to go get an education. So it was a lot different culture than what I was used to seeing here in the United States. And basically going to the next question of does this child need an education? I do believe like everyone should have a right to an education solely because education is such a key part of, as I said, society. The fact of like learning certain things and allowing them to then better themselves and interacting with other people is such a key and valued trait that I think everyone should have access to. And I do think the child should be sent to school, like I just said, because they need to learn these key attributes in order to allow them to actually get out of society. Because if they aren't given an education, then they will just be left in this local poor slum in Port-au-Prince, and they'll never be able to like push themselves out of it because they're only going to be interacting with the people that are within it, and they'll just kind of be stuck in a dead end loop, which you don't want to see for anyone. You want everyone to be able to achieve their full potential in a way. And finally, what I think that child should learn would basically be the basic fundamentals of everything that we learned growing up through school. So he would learn basic mathematics, basic grammar, just all of those type of things that will allow him to then learn a certain discipline, because with studying comes discipline. You have to then force yourself to sit down, memorize vocabulary words, learn how numbers interact with each other in order to find different outputs. Stuff like that, even though it's just very minute and doesn't seem to have a point, The fact that you're doing it and sitting down and taking the time to just make sure you understand it is that discipline that shows that you really care about what you're doing and you want to push yourself in order to better yourself as a person. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so like pro education, because with education it just becomes bettering yourself. And I want for those kids down in Haiti, I want them to better themselves so that they can have that life they want to live.
I think everybody deserves the education. Doesn't matter if you're like inside the US or outside in the US. Education always has something to do with money, sadly. Where I'm from, luckily, it doesn't matter how rich you are, education is free. And in my opinion, as I said, everybody deserves the education. And education is important for you so you can get your own career, you can understand the world a little bit better, and nobody can trick you that easily. And as I said, education is important for everybody. Everybody should have the possibility to get an education, not only like high school or the primary education. College should be free for everybody too, so everybody has the same chances to make a living.
So I do think school should be free to an extent, however. So, for example, the schooling that most Americans go through from pre-K to senior year of high school, you have the ability to go to a publicly funded school all of those years, and you can basically get all of the necessary education that you need, from the basic mathematic and grammar skills all the way to the societal ways to interact with people. And I think that's an invaluable resource, and the fact that it's free is great and allows everyone to have those skills so they can better the community. But then looking to secondary school, university, and college, I do think that probably should have a cost to it, solely because that's just an extra step to allow your transition from schooling to the workforce to be a lot smoother, and so you have a better start. So it's like a kind of advantage. So I do think this should cost some money, but I do think there are ways that the government could help subsidize it to make it much cheaper for all of those involved.
In my opinion, education should be free. Back home, so I'm from Germany, and luckily, education is free for everybody. So it doesn't matter if your parents are rich or whatever. Like, if you work hard enough in school, you can go to med school, you can go to law school. You don't have to take any loans. So I think that's a good thing. That's super equal for everybody. It all depends on you if you're able to work hard. And I think that's the best thing you can get. If you work hard enough, you can achieve everything. And it shouldn't be like you have to pay a lot of money to get your education. It's super unequal, and so many smart kids can't go to college only because they don't have the money for it. And that's just dumb.
Personally, I don't believe that students should be forced to go to college, mainly because of the fact that it does cost money. And for many people who want to just be able to get a better start into the workforce, for some people who don't have a lot of money, going to college and getting that degree and getting that advantage that college gives you is going to put you so far behind and so far in debt that it's not really actually aiding you at all. It's actually hurting you and your family. So for those that can afford college and go to it and get the degree that will help them get better off, go for it, do it. But if you can't really afford college, you shouldn't be forced to go to college because it's only going to hurt you in the long run.
I don't think people should be forced to go to college because some people they like have enough school, they had enough of school, and they want to go to labor force or work with their hands or do whatever, just get out of school or like focus on their sport, focus on their music. So I think we should give everybody the freedom to decide what they want to do. Some people want to go to college, some people don't, and that's how it should be.